Okay, so I wanted to share a little bit of one of my greatest passions, and how I came to be so passionate about this thing. So the passion that I want to speak about is endometriosis, right? And kind of why I want to be an nephrosurgeon or an OBGYN surgeon. When I was in the convent, the first thing that I would like to mention is that when I entered the convent, the first year and a half, we worked a lot with a woman named Dr. Pilar Calva. Dr. Pilar Calva is an expert in women's healthcare, fertility. She studied under Dr. Jerome Lejeune, who is a geneticist, and his cause for canonization is open. She is the reason that she is pro-life, he is the reason that she is pro-life and Catholic, right? Dr. Jerome Lejeune is a really cool guy. He was really good friends with Pope St. John Paul II, one of my favorite saints. And Dr. Pilar Calva was giving us talks. Really, it was to the young adult groups that we were working with, but these talks were pretty cool, right? She would tell us about cervical mucus, about Dr. Jerome Lejeune, about just kind of how the woman's body works, right? And when I was in the convent, I was about a novice, I think, at this time. I was like, why are we listening to these talks? Like, I don't want to hear about cervical mucus. I'm a nun. I never plan on getting married and having children, right? God is funny, by the way, because here I am, still unmarried, but that is kind of the direction that I'm leaning towards, is marriage with children. And so anyway, I was like, kind of like, why are we learning these things? But it was super interesting to me, right? And I came to love it, even though I thought it was weird at the same time. Was a little bit too afraid to like have a one-on-one conversation with Dr. Pilar Calva, because I knew that I like had really painful periods and I didn't really want to talk about that with anyone. But this is kind of where it started, really. And my periods were painful, but they weren't as painful as they were going to be throughout the rest of my convent life, right? So fast forward quite a bit, and I am in the convent, and I'm under vows now, and every cycle just like destroys me, right? Like I can barely stand, I can barely move, and yet I'm in the convent and I have a schedule to live, right? And it's like under obedience that I must live this schedule. So like I have to study, I have to do sports, I have to like pray, and like all of these things I'm like almost unable to move. But I'm like trudging through it, because I'm like, this is what the Lord wants from me. He wants me to do these things. And the Lord really did give me the grace, although it like hurt like crazy, okay? But there were some days when I would approach my superior and I'd be like, I really am in too much pain. I just need to like lay down for a while, put a heating pad on, take some medicine, like just not move, right? Like I can't stand, I need to lay down, right? And usually she would grant that permission, most of the time. Yeah, really, she would not grant that permission. But there was one day when it was so bad that I couldn't, we had 10-minute breaks between classes and studies, and I couldn't like function enough to walk down one flight of stairs to go find my superior and ask her permission to go lay down. Like I could like barely stand, barely, right? I'm like hunched over as I'm like walking through the house, trying my best not to make a scene, but also like I'm in so much pain that I can barely move, right? And so I finally make it to the line of kind of the second in command, who is not supposed to be able to give these permissions, but I figured like maybe she can talk to her, like say, yeah, she could barely move. She went upstairs to lay down, right? So I go, I wait in line, I get to the front of the line, and I'm like, I can't make it down the stairs to ask my superior to allow me to lay down. Can I please take some medicine and just go and sleep for the rest of the afternoon? Like, I can't move. Like, I'm in too much pain. And I thought that she might be a little bit more considerate because she was a nurse before she was a nun. And she was like, I can't give you the permission, and you know this. Why did you come to me? And I was like, because I can't make it down the stairs. And she was like, well, I can't give that permission. But what I can do is like allow you to use the heating pad while you're studying for your next period. So it took me probably a good 20 minutes to get to the heating pad, even though our break was only 10 minutes long. So I spent most of that next study period actually just going to get the heating pad, plugging it in, and then I sat at the desk with the heating pad and just kind of curled up in a ball, trying to study, but mostly just crying because I was in too much pain. And that was the day that I decided that like this was too much and I needed to figure out what was wrong with me. So I talked to my superior like the next day or a couple days later, I don't know the timeline. But I talked to her and I was like, hey mother, like my periods are so painful. Like I can't move, I can't stand, like all I really want to do is like lie in my bed in a ball and cry. Like it's really bad. And sometimes like I just like, if I'm the laundress and I need to like do laundry, like there's sometimes I go into the laundry room and I just lay on the ground. Like I make it down there, but I can't actually function when I get down there, and I lay on the ground in pain. And that's all I can really do. I've done that in the pantry as well, where I would go into the pantry to do some work, but then I would just lay on the ground and like kind of move cans around while I'm like trying to do things, but also like unable to even stand, right? So this was kind of the reality that I was living in, and I talked to my superior and she was like, yeah, I think we need to get this figured out. I think the next step for you is to learn the Creighton model to chart your cycle, and we'll go from there. So I get a hold of this woman who's like an expert Creighton model charter. She like teaches the other Creighton model teachers how to teach the Creighton model, right? Fantastic lady. I love her, right? And she teaches me how to chart my Creighton model, or chart my cycles with the Creighton model. And 3 months into charting, I'm talking to her and she's looking at my charts and she says to me, sister, like on a scale of like 0 to 10, like where do you rate your pain? And my response was something to the effect of like, oh, a 6 or a 7, like it could be much worse. Like I'm not actually puking, although I feel nauseous every month. Like, and I feel like I want to lay in bed all day and like just curl up in a ball, but like I have to do things, so I am moving around, so I'm still able to move around even though like I feel like I can't move, and like I'm just like kind of like scrunched up in pain all day, like and anyway, we talk about those symptoms, like how painful my period is, which by the way, endometriosis on several lists, all of the lists that I have ever looked at of the most painful diseases or conditions, like endometriosis is within the top 20 for most of them. Most of them, in fact, I believe it's 13 and up. I think the highest I saw, endometriosis was number 3. On average, it was like 6 or 7, and then 13 was like the lowest I saw it. So endometriosis is super painful. And anyway, we talked about this, and I said, this is where I rate my pain. And she looks at me and she goes, sister, those symptoms are severe. I think you're just used to them. Like, I think you need surgery. I think you have X, Y, and Z, like endometriosis, like PCOS, like I don't even remember what else we talked about, but like she was like, I think you have these things. And like, I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose you, but like I've been doing this for 20 years and your charts and your symptoms both point to these things. And that's when it hit me that like I thought that this pain like was normal. I thought that what I was going through was something that all the other women were going through, and I just handled it like I was like a wimp. I thought that my pain was normal, that every other woman was going through it, and that I was just a wimp, right? So that was like a wake-up call for me. So later that week, I talked to my superior, and I was like, I just want you to know that my Creighton model teacher believes that I will need surgery. And I've done a little bit of the research. There's a doctor a couple hours away, and then there's a doctor like who can do the surgery a couple hours away, and then there's a doctor an hour away who can't do the surgery but could like have some of the follow-up kind of things with me. And so we kind of just put a pin in it, and we were like, well, let's pray about which doctor we need you to go see. And tonight I need you to go to this pro-life dinner with this other sister, the bishop's pro-life dinner. Yep. So I go to this dinner, and that night, as we were leaving, I saw Dr. Ryan Womack. He was one of my college professors, and of course I went up to him and I said, hey, Dr. Womack, like I haven't seen you in a while. You taught at the University of Mary, correct? And he was like, oh yes, yeah, it's so good to see you, sister. Here is my wife. She's an OBGYN surgeon. And I was like, oh, really? Do you know anything about NAPRO? And her response was like, oh yes, I do. And like, I'm not technically a NAPRO surgeon, but I know a lot about NAPRO. And so I got her card, started emailed her a couple times, and then she said, we should set up an appointment. So I set up an appointment, and she looked at my charts, we talked about symptoms, and also like, I went on like the worst day of my period. So like, I was like in there, like, just like dead to the world. Like I wanted to be there talking to her, but like I could barely move. So like my head is like leaned up against the wall, and I'm like almost curled up in a ball trying to talk to her, but in so stinking much pain, right? And so we chat, and by the end of that conversation, she was like, yes, your symptoms are severe. I believe you had endometriosis, perhaps PCOS as well. Like, we can get you an ultrasound, and then like we can also schedule you a surgery today. And that's really what I came there wanting, was I wanted the surgery because the pain was so bad that I was ready to just jump into surgery, because I knew that that was the only thing that was going to help me, right? And so anyway, we get the surgery scheduled, and about a month later I had the surgery, and like it drastically transformed my life. Like, not only was I sick during my periods before, but I was also like 2 weeks leading up to my period every month, I just like felt awful, nauseous, no energy. Like I like just felt awful. And like throughout my entire convent life, I pretty much had diarrhea every time I ate food. Couldn't figure it out. It wasn't related to any food in particular. It was just like every time I eat, I will have diarrhea, so I have to sit next to a toilet. I never really knew what that was. After the endometriosis surgery, not only was my pain better, not only was I not fatigued all the time, but also like all of my diarrhea problems went away. Like I thought that I was lactose intolerant. Like I was like, oh yeah, for sure, lactose intolerance is a thing with me. But when I got rid of the endometriosis in my body, like I had no special diets anymore. I could drink milk, I could eat yogurt, I could eat anything and not have diarrhea. And it was like such a game changer to not have to sit by the toilet all the time. Like when I did the 30-day spiritual exercises, the chapel was up on the hill. There was no toilet up at the chapel. You had to come down like 5-minute walk down the hill to get to the nearest bathroom, right? And I couldn't do that. I could not go to that chapel to pray if the toilet was 5 minutes away. So I ended up praying like outside on the porch, like in the grass, like by the cross in the grass, like just like a lot of different places, because I couldn't not be so close to the toilet. So it was a game changer, right? And I started telling everyone at the parish, like, oh, you got period pain, I got the doctor for you. Dr. Ashley Womack is fantastic. By the way, not only is she a great doctor and surgeon, but she just like really loves her patients super, super well. I highly recommend her if you're in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Ashley Womack is fantastic. Someday, if I end up in Dallas, I would like to work side by side with her. Love that woman. Highly, highly recommend. And so anyway, when I left the convent, I had no idea what the Lord wanted of me, where he was calling me. All I knew was that he wanted me to discern marriage now. And so I went back to the University of Mary, finished off my degree, went and taught at a school for a while, but like throughout that year, I wrote a paper about, like while I was in college, I wrote a paper entitled Called to Femininity Through a Woman's Cycle, and I kind of examined how Pope St. John Paul II's writings about femininity really related to our woman's body, right? So that was really cool to examine, and I just loved learning about the woman's body, and I would get really excited, and I would teach my roommates every night, like, hey, let me tell you about your body, and like about your fertility, and about your cervical mucus, and like, it's really, really cool, right? And I would do that every night. And so after that year, I knew that the Lord wanted me to work at a school up there, so I worked there for about a year and a half. But while I was there, I lived in the basement of a really fantastic Catholic family, and the mother of the family was like, she taught like, I think it was the Billings method, which is another NFP, natural family planning method. And kind of a lot of nights I would just sit with her, and I would be like we would like chat about the woman's body and like the different things, and it was really cool because she was like an expert, and I was just like this beginning baby of like learning these things. And so she taught me so stinking much. I love that woman so much. Yes, I like want the world to be like this family, and oh man, they were so beautiful. Like the husband and the wife are awesome. I love them so much. They're like my second family, right? I love their kids too. They're all so good. Anyway, side thought. Yeah, so we would sit up and chat about a woman's body and fertility and cervical mucus and basal body temperature and hormones all the time. And she invited me to come with her to a FACS conference where I met several NAPRO surgeons as well as other women in the women's healthcare and fertility world, which was really cool. I kind of used it as like kind of like a nun run where you like meet a lot of different orders. It was kind of like the same thing where I was meeting a lot of different fertility experts, which was so stinking cool. There are people that I just love from that conference. And yeah, so, but like I thought about being a physician's assistant, but then I was like, but then I have to be under a doctor, maybe not that one. And then I thought about becoming like a nurse practitioner. I thought about a lot of different things. I like tried out hormone coaching for a while where I learned those things, and I really think that that will be good tools for me in the future. But really the thing that sticks with me that I've been continuing to discern is being able to do the surgery, not to assist in the surgery, but to be the surgeon, right? To be the surgeon who can essentially help a woman with endometriosis not be so sick all the time. And I guess within this last year, the Lord has been solidifying that in my heart, this desire to be a surgeon, this knowledge that I am smart enough and I am capable and I'm still pretty young to be able to become a surgeon. And I just kind of had like one, I guess, dying question left in my heart of like, can I handle the smells of surgery? Because I hear they're pretty intense. And can I handle like the cutting and the blood, right? And these were like dying questions in my heart. And so, which I have seen a lot of stitches in acute care recently. So I'm like, you know, I'm pretty sure I can handle the blood, but what about these smells that people say are so intense, right? So I asked a lot of surgeons around the country. I was able to shadow Dr. Womack, not in surgery, but in clinic, which was really beautiful to watch. I love the way that she loved her patients. And then I was also able to shadow Dr. Norden in St. Paul and watch her surgeries. And I was able to answer the questions that I had still lingering in my heart. I can handle the smells, and I'm really okay with blood, and I haven't cut people open yet, but like I was okay with seeing people being cut open. And not because like it's cool that they're being cut open, but it's because I know that those cuts that the surgeon is making in the long run is going to help the patient, and that they're actually healing them even though it looks like something painful. So they're kind of like this healing wound. It's necessary to get the healing complete. So yeah, I really want to be a naprosurgeon. That's what I believe that the Lord is calling me to, and that's the direction that I will run until either I make it or the Lord closes the door. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I kind of wanted to share that, and yeah, hopefully that helps. Yeah, I know that there are about 30 naprosurgeons in the world, and some of the surgeons have about a 4-year wait list. Some of them have like a 1.5-year wait list. Some of them have a year wait list. So I want to be one of those surgeons to help cure women and to help them with their pain, to help them with their endometriosis, their PCOS, and to make them not wait 4 years for their surgery. Because although I'm just one, like just one cuts down the wait time for people with endometriosis. And also there are no naprosurgeons in North or South Dakota. And like I am just one, but if I answer the call to be Christ's servant in this way, to serve women, to love women. By the way, I think women are like the most beautiful creatures. Like, it amazes me. Our body amazes me. Yeah, it's like, I just love contemplating like how God created us and how God created our bodies. Like, it's more beautiful than the most beautiful sunset to me. Yes, I've watched sunsets with friends, and I've just been like, you are more beautiful than this sunset. Yeah, and I feel that the Lord is calling me and asking me to serve women and to love women and to give them dignity even when they're in surgery, and to allow women to become fully alive without the pain that they are enduring. And that's really what drives me, is to make you fully alive, to be who you were made to be, so that you can set the world on fire, and to not be stuck by your pain and your sickness, your disease. I want you to be fully alive. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for thinking with me. And thank you for your prayers as well. I know that this journey to become a surgeon is very long, And with God's grace, I'll make it. And yeah, have a great day, and God bless. Bye.